Before your eyes is a 2019 GMC Sierra. This is the truck that two young men from the Goon Squad group successfully bid for online. They are currently at a salvage car auction center. Besides rescue vehicles, all others are accident cars.
Before buying this truck, they checked online for prices of this model line.
A 2018 version typically ranges from $57,000 to $60,000 USDs. They bought a 2019 model. The entire front right suspension system is broken. The wheel is tangled in cables, not yet fully on the ground. The front wheel looks quite daunting, but overall, the damage is not too severe. The collision mainly focused on the front right side of the vehicle. However, they just discovered a small issue. It's a dent on the rear tailgate. This wasn't in the online photos. So this was likely caused during vehicle movement in the lot. This means extra effort to fix the tailgate. The experience of receiving the car this time was truly disappointing, but they had no choice. The payment was already complete. They couldn't just return it. This spot is actually easy to fix. Just some minor body work and repainting will do. These types of cars left in auction lots often get scratched. The 2019 Sierra had an official list price of $59,000 USD after securing the truck on the trailer.
The two young men immediately hit the road, heading straight home with their new purchase.
Once the truck arrived, the first thing they did was open the hood to check the engine. This beast boasts a 6.6-liter V8 engine, characteristic of heavy-duty pickups. The engine's power is immense, producing up to 477 horsepower. Overall, the engine looks quite good. No signs of dents or major repairs. The hood also has air intakes to help cool the engine better. You can see the entire front right headlight cluster. It's unclear if the bulb is broken or the internal reflector, but the front bumper is definitely smashed, along with the fender. However, the fender can still be straightened. The impact was so strong it completely broke the suspension system. This is an independent double wishbone suspension. Now it's completely broken and detached. So, restoring this truck, looking at it now, mainly the entire right side suspension system needs to be replaced. But with a direct impact from this angle, it might have deformed the main chassis, although it's not visible to the naked eye now. But the chassis will definitely need to be pulled and straightened later. Regarding spare parts for this truck, they thought they'd have to go to a junkyard first to find salvaged parts, to see if any used parts were still good. However, some specific parts will require ordering new, because the official dealer might not have them in stock. Currently, this car cannot be lowered from the tow truck because the entire A-arm is broken. The A-arms are completely damaged. Many heavy-duty pickups in the US use this independent double wishbone suspension. It offers excellent handling and load capacity. This double A-arm suspension is usually only found in sports cars. Now, let's check the rear axle.
Due to the inertial force from the front impact, the rear end is slightly dented. The exhaust pipe is also bent.
Looking at the exhaust pipe size, you can tell this engine is not ordinary. It has smart folding side mirrors. Depending on driving conditions, they can automatically extend or retract. The design is very practical and valuable. Now, let's check the interior. Despite taking a strong hit, I don't see any deployed airbags. Actually, this situation was expected, so the airbags not deploying is understandable. Here is a standard sunroof. Unlike the Mercedes S450 they restored last time, That one had a panoramic sunroof. The car also has cooled seats, electric seat adjustment, and several driving mode options. In the center console, there are still a few items left by the previous owner. This appears to be a perfume bottle.
The two young men are discussing whether it's full or empty. If it's full, they could sell it for some money. It's unclear if the perfume bottle is empty or still has some left. Anyone with good eyes can check.
There's also a strange key here. The car's options are extensive. It has an AC power outlet, a traditional 12-volt port, and 2 USB fast charging ports. The button he's pressing now is the hill descent assist system. Next to it is the lane departure warning button. He's about to start the engine. Let's get this engine running. The starting process is extremely smooth with no minor glitches. It starts right up. Now he's testing the electric sunroof to see how it works. Wow, look at that, works perfectly. At first he pressed it and nothing happened. He probably had to turn on the ignition first. Now it's working perfectly. The roof marker light system is also working. These lights are often used for heavy towing, so they are factory equipped. The roof marker lights are essential for showing the truck's width during towing, especially with wide trailers. The front headlight cluster looks fine. It's probably just a few broken mountings. They just need to re-weld it. The entire grille also has no issues. This car won't need too many replacement parts. For example, this front bumper. Actually, if not too meticulous, just a little repair and it can be reused. This is a halogen fog light. Later, if needed, they can upgrade it to LED. Some people might be worried about the size of this truck, whether it will be difficult to lower it from the tow truck. Although this car was put on the tow truck, but it will definitely be lowered. Everyone look at the wheel well gap on the tow truck. You can immediately tell this is a fixed running board, not an electric one. For cars like this, without running boards, getting in and out daily would be extremely difficult. On the windshield is a document bag. Inside this document bag are some detailed information about the car. Now everyone, let's take a look. Here's everything we need to know about this build. After opening the bag, the young man was quite surprised because inside was a car configuration sheet. These are the optional features the owner chose when this car was bought back then. This is the invoice. It shows the total vehicle value was $72,975, while the standard version of this model was only $59,600. Meaning when buying this car, the owner spent a lot to add many options. The upgrade cost was about $13,000 USD. So these two guys got a great deal on this truck. Let's check if any of these features are missing now. Because it's a used car now, surely some accessories have been removed by someone. For example, in the rear truck bed, there should be a set of tow hooks, but now they're gone. Looking at the information on the configuration sheet, this car was equipped with heavy-duty tow hooks, a specialized tow hitch, like the gooseneck type. So they need to install a special tow hitch right in the rear truck bed. Now you can see that the entire lower A-arm of the suspension and the axle shaft are completely detached. The next task is to remove all these damaged parts. After that, check which components can be reused. Any broken parts that cannot be used will be ordered from the official dealer. First, remove the brake system.
The entire brake disc is severely worn, even scraping the metal. This could have been the cause of the accident.
One side is even worn down to the metal, so this could also be the cause of the accident. Due to driving too fast, the brake system might not have responded in time. Therefore, everyone should regularly check the thickness of their brake pads. Now, they need to restore the front suspension system. After that, install the tires.
to facilitate lowering this truck from the tow vehicle. They continue to remove the damaged parts from the car.
The axle shaft is broken. They initially thought they'd have to go to a junkyard to find salvaged parts, to see if any used parts were still good.
The junkyard's a dead end. We can't find anything here. Unfortunately, they couldn't find any at the junkyard, so the only way left for them is to order from the dealer. Yeah, it looks like we'll have to go that route.
The item they are holding now is the A-arm they bought from the dealer. Just this one A-arm cost them $400 USDs.
It's extremely expensive. Initially, they planned to find used parts on eBay, but they couldn't find any.
And then, a dealer informed them that they had a new part in stock, so they decided to buy it immediately.
Moreover, they must have had a bad experience with dealers before, so this time they brought all the old parts with them to compare directly, to avoid buying incompatible parts and wasting a trip. The next step is for them to pull out this front bumper. Because this part is dented deeply inward, they don't have space to install the tire. To pull out the dented part, they have to use the F-250's tow hook. This temporary repair method can be applied.
If you want a proper bodywork repair, the car must be put on a specialized frame machine. Currently, they are just installing the tire.
To make it easier to lower the car. If the frame is still not right afterwards, they will have to cut it off.
Now they have enough space to remove the upper A-arm. After removing it, they can immediately install the new A-arm. Next, they remove the steering knuckle assembly from the wheel. Any reusable parts will be maximized.
The axle shaft of this car is broken. It also needs to be completely replaced. But currently, since they haven't bought a replacement part, they'll temporarily use the old one. The main goal now is to get the car off the tow truck first. It looks like it will be easy to reassemble. The young man also sprayed a lot of lubricant on it. He rotated it a few times here. It seems quite stable now, but this part will definitely need to be replaced later. For now, they'll just make it work to get the car rolling. They guess that for details like this axle, they'll go back to the junkyard to hunt for parts. If they're lucky to find good used parts, it will save them a lot of money because an A-arm alone cost $400. This axle shaft, if the dealer charges $800 or $1,000, it's normal. After installing the brake disc and other components.
They still need to make a little more space. Next, they lower the spare tire from the rear trunk.
When he first saw this hole, his friend thought it was the jack socket for the electric control. After a closer look, he realized the knob on the left side is actually the spare tire mechanism. It's a full-size spare tire, just like the main tires.
The rims seem to be made of alloy. Currently, the entire truck is ready for movement. However, its suspension system is not fully restored. This is just a temporary solution.
It hasn't even had the shock absorber spring installed yet. It's just relying entirely on one shock absorber.
But first, let's get it off the ground. Then the remaining work will be easy to resolve.
They used a vacuum cleaner to clean the interior. Next, they washed the entire car body.
This is a mandatory task every time they bring a car home. After the car was cleaned, he drove the car into the garage. The next step is to check the specific damage of this truck and also carefully check if the chassis is damaged, because through the gap between the fender and the hood, they found that the car's body was slightly deformed. The entire frame will definitely need to be straightened. So they invited VT to help. The frame repair work will require VT's assistance. The gap here is off by about an inch, so the entire engine bay frame needs to be pulled sideways a bit. Because when the car had that collision, the overall impact force was extremely large. Now they have to disassemble the entire front end. All right, let's take a closer look at this bumper.
Yeah, I'm not sure we can save it. We might have to cut it. After disassembling, these two guys also got a list of necessary parts. Then they'll buy new ones. Anything found at the junkyard will be hunted there. Now, let's look at this damage first. If you only look at the exterior, you might think only the front right side was hit. But in reality, inside it hides much more serious damage. The frame deformation is extremely small, making it very difficult to notice. You need to check very carefully. You need a very meticulous inspection to find that subtle frame damage. Frame misalignment, if not completely resolved, will cause issues.
Even a small misalignment can cause a lot of issues down the line. It's important to get it right.
Such as the uneven gap between the hood and fender, and countless other problems. After checking the front end damage,
They move to the rear of the car to check the rear axle's details, see if there's any displacement. Actually, the simplest way to check is to use your hand to measure. On the driver's side, there's still a small gap. But on the passenger side, it's very tight, so it's definitely displaced. Next, they check the cabin gap. This measurement is also very simple. Just put your finger in to compare. The principle is the same as before. Because after this car took a strong hit, you can't just rely on whether the front end is damaged or not. You can immediately assess the car's condition. The impact force on the entire car is uniform. The entire car's frame needs to be assessed. You can clearly see the gaps on both sides of the cabin. You can actually fit your whole hand in. So later, they will need to perform a complete alignment. The next step for these two guys is to disassemble the front end first to see the extent of the internal damage.
their working method is extremely careful and meticulous. All screws are gathered in one place
to prevent them from getting lost later. This is a point that many mechanics overlook. This is something many external mechanics need to learn. And this is the headlight assembly he just removed. This headlight assembly looks perfect from the outside, but in reality, it cannot be used anymore. This spot was smashed, creating a huge hole. The mounting tabs are also completely broken. So now they need to buy a new one or find a salvaged one. He said they found one. Okay. This needs to be replaced. We found one online, luckily. It's just that the price is a bit steep. They were quoted $600 USD for it. If it were a brand new boxed item, it would be even more expensive. You know how much this headlight costs? It's ridiculous. So they plan to look elsewhere. If they can't find a cheaper one, then they'll have to buy this one. Actually, the design of this headlight cluster looks quite good. Not only are the lenses smoked, but it also has chrome accents. The more beautiful something is, the more expensive it gets. For example, car brands like Audi are known as the kings of custom headlights. Now, they need to remove the front fascia. The biggest detail is this front bumper. He has to try hard to remove it. And you can see right under the front of the car, there's a liquid leak. It's unclear where it's coming from. This issue needs a thorough inspection. The most frightening thing is that the cooling water tank is also shrunken. He has now removed the lower bumper. Now you can clearly see a situation of internal damage. The front bumper support frame, in this corner, it's slightly deformed. The radiator is also fixed to this frame. The entire thing is bent, so this part also needs to be straightened to see if it can be hammered back into shape, if not. And that's why this whole section has to be redone. Then the only option is to replace it entirely. This is definitely a bumper impact absorption box. Its original state should be a straight bar, but now it's slightly bent. You can see it more clearly from this corner because this type of part is made of hard steel, unlike aluminum parts. Just a little heat and it can be pulled straight. Therefore, this part will be a bit harder to repair perfectly. It's not like just putting it on a pulling machine and it's easy. it needs to be aligned, okay? Because afterwards, they also need to restore the entire suspension system.
So, this entire area needs to be disassembled. They remove the engine air filter box and the steel fender.
Just as they were about to remove the left headlight assembly, these two guys discovered many more hidden issues. Look at this. It's totally cracked. Yep, that's not good. All the internal support frames are completely dented. They're extremely bent. And they are also hidden behind the fender liner. Now, they need to check the cooling system. They need to carefully check the entire cooling system for any leaks. If there's any leak, they need to find it immediately to fix it. Because if the radiator is bent, it will cost a lot of money. Actually, the exterior looks quite good because this area didn't take a direct hit. All right, next they remove the left headlight. Easy, gotta get that last one. And check if they need to remove the radiator. Got it, looks like we do. Currently, on the garage floor, you can clearly see coolant leaking out. The entire front frame has been removed.
After a thorough inspection, the two young men found that they didn't necessarily need to remove the entire cooling system.
Although the support frame here is slightly deformed, the cooling system is completely undamaged. There's only one broken metal pipe here, so all the coolant leaked from this spot. He said this seems to be the turbocharger's cooling pipe.
The space in this area is extremely cramped. It's easy to fix. Just buy a new one and replace it.
All right, guys, so we're heading to a local Chevrolet dealership. GMC is actually owned by General Motors, so we're checking out their new models there.
They share the same company as Chevrolet, so you don't need to wonder why they went to a Chevrolet dealership.
You can see all sports cars inside. Yeah. A white Corvette, the red Dodge Viper looks amazing. Yeah. But the Corvette has always been my favorite.
Next to it is a Dodge Viper on display. Moreover, this car is a supercharged version. It's a rare turbo version. Also, its door handle design is very unique. It's located right next to the window frame. Previously, I uploaded a video about an orange Viper. It was also restored by these two guys. Anyone interested can check it out again. This headlight cluster looks quite vintage. He's also sharing that this Viper version, he had never heard of it before. This is the first time he's seen it in person. But because regular Dodge Vipers all use a V10 8.4 liter engine, this modified turbo version is extremely rare.
And this car's wheels are also super wide. As I shared with you before, the entire design of the Viper model is like this.
It's wide and low. Now, the two guys have ordered all the necessary parts. This trip cost a lot of money. The front bumper alone. The dealer initially quoted $900 US dollars, but after some negotiation, they got it down to $750 USD. Even though it's $150 cheaper, it's still quite expensive. Fortunately, the area they need to paint is small. Otherwise, this small can of paint wouldn't be enough. This amount should do the trick, thank goodness. This Mustang GT was also a project they restored before. Now, the two guys start mixing paint. Then they spray it on several sample cards to see how the color effect turns out. This silver paint is easier to mix than white because white paint, if it's off by even a little, the color difference will be noticeable immediately, and it will be hard to fix later. Now they continue to install the lower bumper, including the decorative trim under the headlights. White paint is hard to fix later. And the cool GMC grille. After installing everything, they can compare the gaps. Looking at it now, it's very satisfactory. So the overall alignment process went very well. After that, they reassembled the entire cooling system. The chassis restoration process took them about 2 days. I'm sure everyone can feel that the chassis alignment process is still very arduous, especially the pulling and straightening part. It takes a lot of time. Because the body structure on this heavy-duty chassis is extremely sturdy. The undercarriage is really strong,
Moreover, this type of pickup truck is usually used to haul goods, not to mention the rear truck bed for cargo. But the rear often has a heavy-duty tow hitch, like the type of flatbed tow trucks they often use. It's quite light. If it's a fixed gooseneck tow hitch, it can tow a full load container. Currently on this side, the process of welding the radiator is complete. He brings it back to install it. The efficiency will be like new.
All the wire harnesses are back in place, the engine coolant and the hot air conditioning condenser,
as well as the transmission cooler. This time, after they installed the front end, they won't need to disassemble it again. The remaining work is mainly painting. After painting, the two guys will modify the car. After upgrading, they will drive the car out, then they will add coolant first. Yeah, after adding the coolant, we'll customize the engine and then upgrade the intake. After adding coolant, the car actually needs to run for a while. The coolant level will continue to drop. Now that the truck is full, we can fire it up. As the engine operates, it will decrease a bit. Just like we usually change the coolant ourselves, it's best to let the engine run for a while. If it's not under load, just let the engine idle. Let the car run for about 10 minutes. If you want to drive it out for a spin, just take it for a spin. After returning, add more coolant. Now, the most complex part of the car has been repaired. The two guys will definitely do a burnout to celebrate a bit. This is also their familiar way of showing off. The car has now been driven home. Actually, this car just needs a four-wheel alignment and some touch-up paint on the front fender. Then it can be driven normally. He's testing it in the yard first. Drive it forward a bit. Even though the two guys really want to take the car for a four-wheel alignment right away, but before doing the four-wheel alignment, they still have some preparatory work to do. This is a reverse assist light on the side mirror. Because when he backs up, there are some blind spots. He might not see clearly at night. So they use this assist light to enhance illumination. They open the rear tailgate to clean up the discarded items inside. Actually, parts like this damaged fender just needs a simple bodywork repair and it can be reused. I actually think it's a bit wasteful. Most of the accessories they don't need will be thrown into the forest behind their yard. They will be dealt with later. If it's parts they usually keep, they'll still put them in the rear truck bed or in the garage. He now wants to rotate the tires a bit.